All right. Last I talked to you was about a year ago with the grandson stuff for the
Right.
movie. Yeah. But
Time flies.
that was fun. But congrats on this album. Everything about this album is so great and so big and so wonderful. It's just talk about putting it out there in the world and what this felt like, because it's been received so well from everything I've seen.
Um, I was definitely nervous, but that's not really a change because I'm usually nervous anytime I'm gonna release. And and anxious more than anything. Usually people are like, "Are you excited about your album?" And I'm like, "No, bro, I'm fucking anxious." So it's a little different than I guess what people expect. But what's nice is that I knew going into it, I knew while I was working on it, I knew on the day I was gonna release it different this time around because I feel like the pandemic, the time that I spent locked in the inside of four walls really just changed me for the better. I
Mhm.
was one of able to just find the silver lining in it. And I found this book called The Power of Now that like changed my life, changed me as a woman, and then by default changed me as an artist and just made me more open and more present. And I guess I've heard, it seems like people associate, like I'm vulnerable. I know I'm vulnerable with my shit. I know I'm honest with my songs, but it's a different kind of vulnerability now that I feel more open to love. Because before I would be vulnerable, but talking about sad songs and sad shit and hard shit, because that's usually where I write from. But this time around, I just feel more open and not as afraid of love as I used to be, as cliche as that sounds. But
Mhm.
just because I know that I, I, I feel as though I've been able to acquire the skills that I need to pick myself back up again. So I'm more willing to risk shit and less afraid because I know I'll be okay regardless, which is a nice place to be in. It's like a safety net that I've had my whole life and I didn't even know I had.
Yeah, and how wonderful to put that out in the world as well, to have that positivity as part of your music, and to have people take that in. That must feel
Yeah.
great, knowing that people, because people have always responded to your music, but to reach that level where you can do that with such honesty, but everything you just talked about, I'm sure you're getting great response from fans. And I know you're on socials a lot. You must be hearing great things and great feedback from people on how these songs already mean to them.
Thank God. I'm happy, man. Because as much as I make music for myself, so when I'm in the studio, I'm making it for myself. But obviously, the business side of me, like when I'm thinking about my team and I'm thinking about what we're trying to do, obviously, it's important to think about like long term and how it's going to be received after the art's done. I don't do that before the art's done because I feel like it taints it. It makes it doesn't keep it pure. It gives it a different motive, and it's just not. It's not in the studio without thinking of future is just alchemy and magic, you know? After it's done, packaged and ready, then it's time to be like, all right, mogul, legacy, this fucking, how do we build this? How do we make it a moment? So obviously that side of me is a little bit of what was anxious about it coming out. So the fact that, yeah, people have resonated with some of the positivity. There's still some toxicity. There's still some negativity in some of the songs, which I guess is what was expected considering my history in Cato and in being human in public. But
Hmm.
yeah, the new positivity is something that people are resonating with. This new side.
Well, it's fun that there's an edge too. I don't think you'd be you if it wasn't an edge to this, and there's some excitement to everything you do and to every track. So that's still there, but you've taken it to, I think, a whole nother level with this one. So that's very cool.
Hey man.
And talk about just the work you've done to get to this point. Because I remember, I think I mentioned this before. My first notice of you was in that Roots ad you did years ago. Because I used to come up to Toronto a lot for work and stuff like that, and I was like, all right, who is this girl? You know, because there was spotlighting Canadian artists and Canadian, art at the time. So that's when I first looked you up. I think it was right about when you were first making the scene,
Yeah.
and, and you just kind of built on that over the last like what 4 or 5 years, and just
Mhm.
if you can just put into words just the journey. Has it been the way you expected it to go? Was there an epiphany at somewhere in there that I could be, it sounds silly, but I could be a superstar, I could be the artist I want to be?
I've always had my eye on the prize, so to speak, since I was a kid. Like I
Hmm.
always just stages and making music and studio and using a fucking shampoo bottle like a microphone and all putting hairs in or putting hairs in my fruit. Putting fruits in my hair, pretending I fruits. Like that's just something that's been inherently part of me since I was a child. So I always had that. But in terms of like building and actually seeing things come to fruition, and seeing like manifestations take form has been like humbling to the point of tears. Like I've been crying so much lately, and it's just gratitude. And it's not something I'm used to just be overcome by so much gratitude that it's promo week. Like I'm doing interviews. I'm on no sleep. It's just been back to back to back to back, which is exactly what I need to do. And it's what I've signed up for and it's what I wanted. But it's usually it's hard not to be on autopilot when you're talking about the same thing. It's hard not to be. But this time around, man, I don't know what the fuck it is, but I don't know. I think it's just because I'm different, because I feel like I've changed. I'm more present. That anytime I talk to someone, and usually it's something to do with this, of saying like, can you believe you got from point A to point B? And every time I talk about that, I'm like, no, the fuck, I can't. I'm floored. I'm really fucking fortunate. I know that, what you put in is what you get out, and cause and effect is a real thing. And I've worked fucking hard, but at the same time, I know that there's people that have worked just as hard as I have, and people that are talented, if not more talented than I am, that haven't been blessed with the grace of like preparedness, meeting opportunity, meeting sprinkles of blessings all at once to like make this beautiful storm that I'm in, this beautiful storm. So I'm floored, I'm happy, I'm humble, I'm tired, but I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm here for it.
Yeah, and speaking of being tired, you're probably, tell me if I'm wrong, you're probably in the mode where you're getting ready also through promo week, but rehearsals for this tour. To talk.
Oh yeah.
So what can everyone expect? How much work are you putting into that already? I'm sure you've already been going nonstop.
A lot, but I'm really lucky to have, like I said, like I have a team that I can depend on. And what's nice about having a musical director that's fucking lit is that he can build a lot of, like, we have calls, I express what I want, express the vision, he expresses his concerns, we build forward, then get the band ready, get the music ready, everything ready. Because the thing is, I'm lucky that the song, I don't have to learn the songs because they're my songs, you know what I mean? So it's a easy puzzle piece to drop in if everything's being orchestrated from far away while we're doing double duty, because I'm in another country taking care of other shit. He's in Canada taking care of that shit. And then I get back to Toronto, and my band's reliable and they're great and they're wonderful musicians. So there's not a lot I have to worry about. In terms of what people can expect, it's just gonna be both, as always. Like there's gonna be moments of intimacy and guitar solos, and there's gonna be moments of triumph and just beautiful chaos and cathartic yelling. Just just me and new songs.
Yeah, when you have such great songs, you can pretty much do whatever you want because the songs are gonna kind of rule out the end of the day. So that probably is a nice feeling. You can kind of take it any direction. The songs are there; those aren't going anywhere. So that's cool. That's cool.
Thanks.
Yeah, and in terms of these big videos you do with all the production and all the style you have, and then you're willing to take the same song either on social media or with these other acoustic versions and show a whole different side of yourself. If you can just kind of put into words kind of that dual nature of Jessie Reyez right now, because you've been kind of doing that your whole career, where you can be, very stylish and very glam and do the whole thing, and then extremely stripped down for everyone on social media and just telling it like it isn't, being real in every aspect of that. Is that just who you are, or is that a conscious effort to show both sides?
It's a conscious effort to stay the way I am. I've always said my whole life that I was lucky to be born to parents that let me be me, despite their rigid academic expectations and despite their boundaries in terms of boys and sleepovers and that. Despite all of that, when it came down to creativity and when it came down to how I wanted to dress, if I wanted to leave the house in curtains, if I wanted to dye my hair pink, if I wanted to, wear a can as a necklace, I was allowed. And I think that went a long way. I know I owe the surety I feel in my skin now to having that early on, because I've met people, and like even people in the business, and it's not their fault. Some people just look at what's trending or see what's good or see and think, oh, we got to apply that to her because that's current, or she needs bigger brands in order to like elevate her. You know what I mean? It's not their fault. I know some people are doing it because they're thinking of like elevating, and they're not doing it with a fucked up motive. They're thinking it's in my best interest. But luckily, if I come from this place of, if my mom's not going to tell me what to wear, you're sure as fuck not going to tell me what to wear. So there's this element of like fucklessness that I love, that I've had since I was a kid, that close to my heart now. And I still take in opinions, and I'm down for conversations because I know I don't have all the answers, and I know sometimes certain things call for nudges and edits and whatever the fuck, which is fine. But at my core, if I want to wear a t-shirt to an award show, I will. If I want to wear a dress to bed, I will. So it's just that.
And I've heard you mention, I think more than once, you've called yourself a weirdo in a good way. Just that ability to kind of embrace that. Just talk about how that filters into your art, along the lines of what you were just saying, how you kind of let yourself go to those places maybe that, if you listened to everybody, you wouldn't have gone.
Maybe it was when, like, been making music for a long time. Even since I was a kid, I was writing like shitty little poems and shitty little songs. But the first time I ever saw someone have a visceral reaction to one of my songs was after my first heartbreak. And I was in the music room at my high school skipping class. And, oh no, I wasn't skipping class. It was lunch. But I couldn't be in the caf because everything would make me cry. And I didn't want to fucking cry in public. So I was in the music room, and my girl had come to check on me, and I was like, I'll have this song, and I played it, and she was like, holy shit. Like, it was the first time I'd ever gotten a holy shit out of somebody. And I was talking about a breakup that I wasn't even trying to, like, I was hiding. I was obviously hiding my pain. I didn't want to be in the cafe. I didn't want to be open. I didn't want people to be like, oh, like, what Jessie's going through, whatever. It made me feel inclusive, made me feel like a weirdo, because who's crying in the middle of the cafeteria when you're in high school, because you know what that can bring. So that weirdness, despite feeling that weirdness, it was also like the first time that I saw a visceral reaction from my music. And the fact that I can pull back that memory, and the fact that it like imprinted so vividly, shows me that it was probably like, obviously not that moment, but just finding a home in being vulnerable and connecting with somebody might have motivated me to like stay in touch with that, like stay close to that truth.
And that feeling probably hasn't changed too much when you're out there in a big crowd and you see someone connect with you and they're looking at you in the eyes and they're clinging on to every word. It must be similar in some ways. You can go back to that place probably pretty easily.
It's abstract. It's weird. It's a beautiful blessing. It's a cosmic joke, because oftentimes, not often, in the past, maybe not this time because I feel like I'm in a better place, but before, there were certain songs I couldn't sing. And even if I would, but I'd feel like I have a apple in my throat. You start getting that feeling of wanting to cry. Trying to sing to cry is the worst, because then you don't have full control of your instrument, and all of a sudden you're not hitting the note right on. All of a sudden your voice is cracking. So it's scary, and it's a battle. And then on top of that, trying to like stay present, stay focused, play the right chords, whatever. But the turmoil, the hurt, the like pain of picking the scab, of reliving those lyrics was a real thing. And then all of a sudden the room starts singing back to you, and it's like seeing everything you've worked for. It's like seeing your dream in real life, feeling those vibrations coming back at you is a joke, because it's like river water meeting ocean water. Very different things. One blessing and one pain, all living all at once, and one can't live without the other, which is a of itself, but it's beautiful. That's what's beautiful. And the weirdness I think just comes from being really in touch with truth. And being really in touch with truth comes from my family, and also comes from like the early betrayal I dealt with. I feel like pushed me to become brutally honest, in hopes and holding on to faith that the universe gives you. No, that you get from the universe what you give. So I always used that if I was brutally honest, then that's what I would get, because I was tired of dealing with liars and tired of dealing with betrayal and whatever. But I've learned that's not really the answer either, because I've also understood that sometimes see, damn, that was a Freudian slip. I've learned that my truth and my brutal honesty could be perceived as hate, or could be perceived as mean, or could be perceived, or just hit someone that's not ready for the truth. And I don't want to hurt anybody, just in my pursuit of truth. So I've learned to take in my mother's consejos, my mother's advice, and be like, you have to have some decorum. You have to have decorum when you're dealing with truth, because everyone's not ready for it. And you can still deliver the truth, but you do it in a way that's sprinkled with kindness. So I've learned to do that. I'm learning to apply it more. It's easy to do it when I'm calm. When I'm pissed, it's a different story, but I'm learning to drive even when I'm pissed.
And you've been recognized with Grammy nominations, obviously, and Juno Awards and all this other acclaim. When you have a new album like this that you know, is so good and so well done, and everything we just talked about is all there for everyone to listen to. How much have you let yourself think about that kind of reaction, what this can mean for you in terms of nominations and awards and that kind of thing? Is that not in your mind at all, or do you kind of let yourself embrace that because you know this is such a great record?
It's in my mind a little, but I've also been applying just more advice that I've gotten throughout the years. And one of them is you can't, if you let the highs get you too high, you're gonna let the lows get you fucking low. So you just
Yeah.
gotta find equilibrium, that emotional baseline of like presence, and not so much chasing happiness, but chasing peace. And what's nice is right now, despite the like hecticness of everything, even when shit goes left, I've been training myself more to just maintain the like, it's all right, you know, it's all right. A small list of things that really fucking matter. And if whatever's in front of me is causing me grief, but is not on that absolutely I will die for this shit list, then it's something that I should be able to breathe through and figure out whether it's great or not, you know? So I've been trying to just stay present and not so much get like too excited for things that aren't in my hand, count birds that are in the sky before I actually grip one. Like, I don't want to do that. I'm just present. I'm happy that things are going the way that they're going. If it's meant to be, it'll be, and if not, then it won't.
You mentioned birds. It made me think of Nelly Furtado, who I've done a lot with up in Toronto over the years. And we
Mhm.
just talk about your Toronto-ness, your Canadian-ness, and how that filters into your music. And that's something that's obviously lives in you.
Shout out Nelly Furtado was amazing. Um, the Toronto-ness lives in me and how I speak and how I move and my hustle and being able to stay connected to my Colombian roots. Because I don't think if my parents had immigrated somewhere else, if they had gone somewhere that had more of an aggressive sense of nationalism, they
Mm.
wouldn't have encouraged to be connected to their roots, nor as encouraged to keep their daughter connected, you know, the way that they did. So had I been born somewhere else outside of Canada, I might not have had the opportunity to feel as Colombian as I do, despite not even having been born there, you know? So that's a gift in and of itself. And it's also just feeling tied to cultures that have nothing to do with me, man. Like Toronto, Jamaican culture has affected Toronto's music scene and Toronto's like colloquial vernacular so much. It's crazy, especially in hip hop. It's beautiful, you know, and like Ethiopian slang finds its way into our slang. Like it's jokes, and I love it. I love
Yeah.
Toronto. Love the fucking it's so often said, but it's a melting pot. You know, there's so many people from different places, and and uh and I love to see it. I love being able to walk down college and go into Kensington, for example, and just feel like I'm tiptoeing across a small atlas because all the diversity is like right next to each other, you know?
Yeah.
God willing,
Yeah.
Spencer, you slow the fuck down because things are starting to look a little different. But Kensington
Yeah.
looked up years ago and I loved it then.
Yeah, it looks different when I first started going out there 20 plus years ago, but I still love it. And I hope to get back soon. And some of my favorite artists, all genres, have come out of Toronto. So it's a cool place to be and be from. Well, listen, Jessie, congrats on this amazing record and everything and all your success. And I wish you luck on the road, and hope we'll see you on the road when you come through town.
Amazing. Thanks, Adam. Have a good day, man.
Real good to see you.